Educational Communications and this station present Environmental Directions with Nancy Perlman. On this series, we explore the effects of human influence on the Earth's ecosystems and discuss solutions to environmental problems which affect the quality of life on this planet. Environmental Directions gives you the kind of information you need to help you participate in decisions impacting your community, the nation, and the world. Now, here's your host, Nancy Perlman.
Hello, my guest is Dr. Asim Mollazade. He is a medical doctor, chairman of the Democratic Reforms Party of Azerbaijan, founder and president of the Euro-Atlantic Center of Azerbaijan, and also a member of the Azerbaijan Meclis, which is their parliament or Congress. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Azerbaijan is a beautiful, multicultural country with many different kinds of environments. It's on the Caspian Sea. How do you describe its unique situation and place as a Euro-Asian country?
Azerbaijan is a country which historically named Land of Fire. First world oil extraction was in Azerbaijan. We started oil industry in 1847 before United States of America. United States has the first drilling in 1858 in Pennsylvania. And Azerbaijan oil and gas factor became a real very important factor for Azerbaijan and its development. With the help of United States, we could construct the pipelines which connecting Caspian Sea with Mediterranean Sea via Turkey and Georgia. We now playing very important role for energy security of Europe and world, and especially it's an important for us because Azerbaijan has a chance now to deliver oil to Israel, our ally in Middle East.
Doesn't Israel import about half of its oil from Azerbaijan?
No, we have more oil than Israel needs, but at the same time, this oil is a security guarantee for very, very important U.S. ally in the region. Also, other U.S. allies, European Union countries, they are receiving oil and gas for Azerbaijan, and in this situation, we're breaking monopoly of some countries to keep Europe, blackmail Europe with their energy.
And what's interesting is that Israel is considered a Jewish state and Azerbaijan a secular Muslim state, and they're working together.
We're working together because behind this story is a long period of brotherhood. We lived together 1,000 years, suffered many problems when big empires fighting with each other and small nations suffering of that. But Azerbaijan, the Jewish community with a history of more than 2,000 years. At the same time, after the pogroms in Europe in 19th century, in 20th century, Ashkenazi Jews came to Azerbaijan, lived in peace and brotherhood in Azerbaijan. That's why maybe bridge between Azerbaijan and Israel based on concrete person, concrete families, concrete friendship, which has a history of many, many years.
And when I visited Azerbaijan, I was amazed at your efforts as a country, a government, to preserve and protect so many of the national monuments and historic buildings, including 1,000-year-old churches and even the Zoroastrian temple.
Yes. At the same time, we think that one of the important strategy for Azerbaijan is to make Azerbaijan center of multiculturalism. We're proud that one of the greatest person of 20th century, John Paul II, gave us a present, beautiful modern Catholic church. But it's the third Catholic church in Azerbaijan. We have small Catholic community, most of them is a Polish community and Irish community, and we're proud that Christian churches like evangelist churches which existing in our capital. We had historically big also German community lived in Azerbaijan. We have Russian Orthodox Church and Azerbaijan state renovated all of them. Azerbaijan as a secular state has not a dominance of some religious. We're secular state. We have a separation of state, politics and religious, but at the same time state trying to support different religious groups. It's making us multicolor. It's making us much more stronger and smarter. All these Catholics, Jews who live together in brotherhood with us, they contributed for development of our country, of our nation, of our culture. And I think that the Jewish community from Azerbaijan, in spite the country where they live now, they keep in contact with Azerbaijan. They continuing to keep links with Azerbaijani culture and becoming ambassadors of Azerbaijan in the United States, additional ambassador for Azerbaijan in Israel. In Israel, one of the biggest NGO organization named Aziz, Azerbaijan Israel. But if you translate this word from Azerbaijani, Aziz, it means dear. That's why this organization is very important. I've been in a congress of this organization in Tel Aviv, and we had a lot of government representative of Israel. We have representative of Knesset, which always supporting friendship between our countries. It's an important for us, small countries in very turbulent area, to defend our values, to think about our common security, common energy, and of course we trying first of all to be partners and ally of United States of America, because two our countries, Israel and Azerbaijan, are reliable and strong friends of United States.
You certainly have a value system to preserve and protect the cultural and natural history of your area. And in doing so, there's a plan to restore the segments of the Silk Road. This is very famous. I always thought of the Silk Road as being in China. So where did it really go?
Silk Road is a way from Europe to China and back. Historically, if you look to the memoirs of Marco Polo, famous Italian traveler, he passed Azerbaijan in his way to China, and he found silk in China, and that's why this road is a Silk Road when Chinese silk came to European market. Now Azerbaijan investing a lot to building this system. First of all, it's a transport corridor. Azerbaijan constructed railroad which connected now Europe and China via Kazakhstan, Georgia, and Turkey. Azerbaijan, according to the different program, constructed a network of autobahns, auto roads, and via automobiles, China and Europe now can connect via Azerbaijan. At the same time, on eastern shore of Caspian, Azerbaijan created a lot of new terminal, new port, new grain terminal, oil terminal, gas terminal, and it's a great chance for countries of Central Asia and China deliver their good to Europe more faster, more cheaper, and more secure. Because Azerbaijan, as a partner of Turkey, member of NATO, Georgia, trying to work with this country, also creating security of this Silk Road.
For almost 70 years, Azerbaijan was part of the Soviet Union. And about 20 years ago, the Soviet Union broke up. It became independent again. It had been a republic in the early 1900s. It is a small country on the Caspian Sea, and it has countries bordering it: Russia, Georgia, Armenia, Iran. But unfortunately, you have a land area called Nagorno-Karabakh, which is currently a place of conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Describe this land and why it's so important to the Azerbaijanis to not have it be part of Armenia.
Karabakh is a very beautiful mountain part of Azerbaijan with a beautiful nature, but at the same time importance of Karabakh for Azerbaijani people links to Azerbaijani culture. A lot of greatest example of Azerbaijani music, Azerbaijani art, Azerbaijani poetry were created in Karabakh. But what about Armenia? It's a territorial claim which Armenia has to Azerbaijan, continuing with the efforts and strike of empire, which trying to divide and rule all countries and nations in this region. As a result of this conflict, with the help of Russian army, Armenia occupied about 20% of territory of Azerbaijan. That's not only area where was populated but Armenian. It's an area where lived only Azerbaijani, but they ethnically cleansed them. They did it brutally. They killed a lot of women and children. And one town, Khojali, it was completely destroyed during one night and brutally killed children and women, hundreds of them. And it was on witnesses of many foreign and American journalists. It became one of the biggest tragedy of 20th century.
This is certainly a conflict that hasn't been resolved, and hopefully the two countries can get together in a diplomatic way rather than in war and resolve who controls and owns what part of the land.
That's not a conflict on lands. It's a conflict of political interests, because Azerbaijan, our neighboring Georgia, Ukraine, Moldova, made a decision to be close to Euro-Atlantic community, to Euro-Atlantic system, to be a friend of United States and European Union. That's why our countries were punished for that. Not only Azerbaijani territory under occupation, and we faced ethnic cleansing. 20% of Georgian, neighboring Georgia, also became targets of this offensive. Territory of Moldova, about 20% of Moldova were occupied. Now there is a very dirty and ugly battles in Ukraine, where again we have a lot of victims, children and women. Ukraine decided to integrate their country to Europe and was punished for that. That's why all this country were punished for they wish to become free and part of civilized world, but Empire and Armenia punished us. We lost 20% of our territory. It's price of our freedom. But Armenia lost 100% of their territory because it became a military outpost for Russian military base.
Your country is surrounded by many countries, but the Caspian Sea also has other countries on the other shores, and yet this is a resource that has to be shared by many countries. Who are the countries, and what kind of international agreements do you have to be sure to protect the wildlife of the Caspian Sea and also to keep it clean from polluting factories and cities?
First of all, we had a very strong control on international consortium who were working on offshore oil fields in Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan has a long history of world oil exploitation of different fields, and now we're trying to cleanse, we're trying to use all scientific researches and implementing in Caspian Sea, preventing pollution of Caspian Sea, because the Caspian Sea is a unique sea which has unique fishes like sturgeon, like caviar, and Azerbaijan and all our neighbors has a great interest to develop Caspian Sea and its nature. That's why we have a very, very strong control on this new oil industry. At the same time, Azerbaijan now trying to use its financial benefits for cleansing old oil fields, which were polluted starting from Russian Empire, Soviet Union, and we now providing a big project for cleansing oil fields.
And I must say that I saw the change, because when I was in Azerbaijan in the late 1980s, when it was part of the Soviet Union, there were a lot of polluting oil fields and oil rigs and oil in the water, and very horrible. And I couldn't believe when I went back in 2014 that they had been there. The water looked clean, the oil rigs had been cleaned up, and you're certainly making that effort. And I just want to know, are you making that same kind of effort to preserve your rare and endangered flora and fauna? And I know that you have some beautiful mountain areas with the gorgeous waterfalls and lakes. You also have rock carvings that are 10,000 years old. You have some unique places, as you say, the land of fire, where the fire is just coming out of the hillside.
Yes.
Are you protecting all of these?
We're trying to protect all of this. And one of the strategies of Azerbaijan is to have a diversity of our economy. Switch everything from oil and gas benefits for developing other sides of our economy. It's mean organic agriculture is a strategy for us. Second sphere of business is tourism. Azerbaijan has about 7 climatic zones. That's why we're now investing a lot to build a new infrastructure of tourism, new hotel, mountain skiing resorts, different resorts using mineral waters of Azerbaijan. Also, we have a unique resort where we're using oil, white oil for the treatment.
Not for lawn?
It's a unique thing which gave a great result. A lot of people who know about that with different diseases, they coming to this area named Naftalan. Naft, it's mean oil, and it's white oil became a very important things using in orthopedy, in different skin diseases, and with very fast positive results.
You indicated that oil was really discovered in your country, and Nobel, from the Nobel Peace Prize family, was instrumental in that.
Yes.
When was it?
It happened on 19th century. When Nobel's family, Nobel brothers, came to Azerbaijan, they tried to find a specific wood made from iron tree, because Nobel family worked for the Tsar's military system and produced a rifle for Russian army. They came to region Lankaran and they found this wood, this tree, iron tree, but later coming to Baku, they seen burning mountain, they seen a lake of oil, and they decided to use it because it was a period when first engine appeared and world starting to think about the fuel.
We're talking about 1847?
We're talking about 1843 when they came. In 1847, they started drilling, industrial period of Azerbaijan oil industry. At the same time, first tanker, first pipelines in world oil history has been created in Azerbaijan.
What is interesting is that you recognize the value of oil and oil production and providing it to other countries, and yet you also recognize that while we still have the oil, we need to develop renewable energy resources.
And we're working on that. We have a couple of projects which was first of all, pilot projects, a wind system, solar energy system. But now Azerbaijan created specific state committee which working for alternative energy. And there are a couple of projects, and one of them is using alternative energy for offshore oil fields. It's a wind energy. Additional to that, I would like to tell that oil at the beginning of 20th century, end of 19th century, gave chance to Azerbaijani nation became different. Because oil revenue gave chance for us to send talented Azerbaijani students to best European university, best university in Russia. That's why ideas to build first secular state in Eastern world has been created because we had this type of enlightenment. Again, strategy of Azerbaijan right now is transferring this black gold from oil to human gold. And Azerbaijan has a specific project to give a chance to the young Azerbaijani to study in best American and European university. We trying to use these human resources to building Azerbaijan as a modern state, continuing our line of multicultural system, but at the same time, any modern state, first of all, needs well-educated specialists.
It's great that you recognize the connection between the natural resources and the human resources.
Definitely, it's the important part of our oil strategy.
I really want to thank you so very much for letting Americans know about how Azerbaijan is developing and trying to do it more sustainably, trying to preserve the diversity not only among the ecosystems but among the people, and to preserve and protect and live in harmony with the land and each other. And I really want to thank you for visiting us. And
thank you very
sharing
much.
this.
And I would like to tell to my better Americans, we love America. We're sharing, first of all, very important things which we learn from America. It's a freedom and democracy. For us, it's vitally important. And our country now moving in a direction building modern, democratic, secular, multicultural state.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I have been speaking with Dr. Asim Mollazade, who is a medical doctor, a member of the Azerbaijan Mejlis, which is their parliament, chairman of the Democratic Reforms Party of Azerbaijan, and founder and president of the Euro-Atlantic Center of Azerbaijan. I'm Nancy Perlman. Thank you very much for joining us, and do tune in again next week.
If you would like free information about these environmental issues, go to www.ecoprojects.org or call 310-559-9160. Environmental Directions with your host, Nancy Perlman, is a community affairs program of the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and this station.